Hey everybody, I think it's time to start another build. Everything is like waiting on parts basically, so yeah. But I got one that I got all the parts for. I'm pretty sure I got everything lined up before I started. Didn't want it running into any disappointment. So, yeah, without further ado, it's time for the Fretless. So I was watching this video here by Music Is Win, where he got a Fretless Ibanez off a Reverb, which just happened to have a scarf joint that let loose in shipping. But it made me realize. Hold on. So it made me realize that in my collection of one of every kind of guitar here, and I've got more or less one of every kind, including like one of every basic. Still got to get a double six in a bass, but I've got like more or less one of every kind, including a fretless bass. I realized that I don't have a fretless guitar. I was like, oh my God, a kind of guitar I don't have for the collection. I've got to get one or make one, even better. There you go. The ultimate neck support, pair of cats, right? So I got online and I ordered up this thing. And it's nice. You guys gonna get up? Oh, they're not gonna get up. Oh, Trinity's getting up. How about you, Ming? You getting up? I guess Ming's still happy where he's at. All right, Ming, you just stay there. Here, have a box. Don't eat styrofoam, right? Sometimes they like to chew on these things. But yeah, it's a really pretty piece. And yeah, it's all nice and finished. Got the skunk stripe going on. Beautifully shaped and finished. It's probably epoxy resin for the clear coat. Would be my personal guess. The rosewood is really, really nice. Wait till I throw some oil on this thing. This should be impressive. Okay, so that's the neck. And sorry to disturb you, Ming, but I need the bench, man. And as for the rest of the guitar, the first two guitars I ever built ever were back in the late 90s, say like 97, 98. And they were both fretless. And an open note, because it's on the nut, is going to ring out better and cleaner and brighter and stuff than a fretted note, because there's no fret to act like a hard intonation edge the way the nut does. So, and that's just the way that fretlesses are. And I don't know of any way to get around it unless you can somehow figure out how to not have a nut. You know, I guess you could slot it above the knot line and then have to fret an open note, and then it would all sound the same. And there would be no tonal changes between an open note and a fretted note. But because of the fact that there are going to be tonal changes, I'm not super expecting great things from this guitar. It'll be cool and it'll do all the fretless stuff and everything, but it'll have that little quirk which, having built them in the past, I did 2 of them, and it made me go out and buy a Fender Squire Bullet just so that I could use the neck for my next build, because I didn't want to go through the hassle of having to do frets myself. And so the easiest way to get a neck at that point in time for me was to go down to my local guitar shop and drop $110 on a Squire Bullet. I ended up taking that guitar apart totally, and in anticipation of using the neck, only to discover that the thing was absolutely perfect. And so I put it back together with some like upgrades, cosmetic upgrades, as far as like the black and white color scheme went. And it was a great guitar. It didn't have a whammy bar, as I recall. It was a hardtail. And other than that, it was a great guitar. It was like thinner and lighter than the Strat. And when I pawned that and a Jackson Randy Rhodes and the Strat, a purple Strat. And out of the 3, that's the only one I don't regret getting back. So there you go. The Randy Rhodes was not ergonomic. It was big and chunky. I got it because it was very similar to a guitar I designed in high school but never built. And then I saw it in the shop, almost the identical thing, like, 10 or 20 years later. So, but I digress. Okay, so on this thing, because of the fact that it's got the intonation issue between open and fretted notes, I was like thinking that I wouldn't put a lot of effort into it because I wasn't expecting to get a lot out of it because of that. And because the open notes are going to ring true and bright like on any guitar, and the fretted notes are going to sound like totally dead by comparison. It's the experience that I've had in the past with these kind of things. So because of that, I decided that I wasn't going to put a lot of time or money or effort into the build in general, because I don't anticipate great things out of it in general. It'll be a fretless, and it'll do what fretlesses can do, and as long as whatever you're playing doesn't make the difference between fretted and non-fretted notes too noticeable, it's not an issue. But for perfectionists like me, it's just maddening. So yeah, originally I was thinking, well, I'll take a Telly bridge and cut half the ashtray off and turn it into just a simple bolt-on hardtail top loader thingy, and just put some pine in there and slap that on, and a pickup and a jack, and call it a day, and that kind of idea. But now it's like, well, between then and now, I've been thinking a lot about guitar design and things like this. And what I came up with was that, as you know, there's like a million different choices in guitar design. And really, though, it comes down to 5 basic choices that you make in a guitar. And these 5 choices are largely independent of each other. And so what I did is I took my original idea for this thing and I ran it through those 5 in order to see what the results were. And that's how I came up with the final design for the guitar. And there's like the feature and parts list, and that's like the basic sketch, and now I got to take some measurements at that point. But as far as like the 5 basic things you got to decide when you're designing a guitar, is like the first thing is the bridge hardware and related hardware. Your bridge, your nut, your tuners, You know, all this, the bridge decides, you know, what kind of nuts you can choose from, whether or not it's going to have a headstock, what kind of, and then, you know, and then that determines, you know, whether you're going to have tuners or not, and then you can choose from there and things like that. You might call it all the acoustic hardware or all the hardware for the guitar. And then the second choice is the electronics, your pickups and your volume and tone and stuff like that. And third choice would be the finish. And fourth choice would be the neck, as far as like the scale length and the type of wood and the number of frets. And then the last one is the body shape and what kind of wood the body's made out of. And those are the 5 basic things you got to decide on when you're designing a guitar. And when it came to this thing, I was, you know, starting with the bridge, it was like, well, I could do the top loader telly thing with the ashtray cut off in order to just make it a top loader Fender style bridge. Or I could do a TOM, or I could do a, you know, I got a number of bridges to choose from. So, I could have done, you know, I could do a Strat. Oh, that was one of the first things. First thing is because I'm not anticipating a lot out of this build, out of the fretless neck, tone-wise, because I'm anticipating this tone issue. I might be making too much of this issue, but because of that, I was like, okay, I'm going to keep it simple. If I'm going to keep it simple, I'm not going to do, like, you know, massive controls, massive pickups. I'm not going to do a trem. It's going to be a hardtail. And it's not going to be a tail tuner. I'm not going to cut the headstock off. I'm not going to reshape the neck. I'm not going to make a triangular heel. I mean, this whole thing is beautiful, so I'm just going to leave it all the way it is and give it a traditional 4-screw heel and the whole 9 yards. And then just give it a minimal body. And then, so I was thinking about the bridge, and I was like, well, I've got all those choices, and then I've also got, you know, like archtop TOMs and things like that. And I also have a rosewood archtop bridge. And I was like, oh, well, this is fretless, which has that whole violin and cello vibe thing going on. A rosewood archtop bridge would go real nice with that. And it would also match the rosewood fingerboard. So I decided on the rosetop archwood bridge. And then for tuners, I checked to see what I had already set aside, and it turns out that I'd already set aside a set of lightweight tuners, which I could use for the aged hardware build, which is waiting on a set, but it's also waiting on a tail piece, so I decided that I could go ahead and use them for this one. So this thing's got lightweight tuners ready for it, and I'm going to use the original nut in order to keep things simple, and it's going to get the rosewood archtop bridge and a jack and a volume control. And as I recall, that's it. And it's going to be, basically it's going to come down and have like a stock OEM heel that's the same size as this heel. And then it'll fan out to the width of the bridge, and then it'll probably just be about square. The bottom of it's going to be about this wide, so that it's got room for a jack over here, and then sticking off the back will be the volume control, and then over here with a little bit of space away from the volume control will be the strap button. And so, yeah, that's the basic idea there. Be kind of squared off like this with the volume control sticking out, strap button over there, and the jack on the side so that the cord comes in this way. And that's the basic idea for the guitar. As far as the body, I'm going to go with a red oak because it's already at the proper thickness and it's better than plywood. And I've got a humbucker picked out for it. It's basically my nicest leftover humbucker. I think it might have come off of the one of the curved tri-tail tuner. Might have been the old humbucker on that one or something. Once again, because I'm trying to not put a lot into this build, I didn't want to use like one of the nice quad rails or something like that. I'm actually, in general, I'm starting to move towards, on guitar number 8. Guitar number 8 is going to feature 3 humbuckers, all with coil split and phase and all the rest of it. And I still haven't decided whether I'm going to go with invaders and then some middle pickup of some sort, or whether I'm going to go with EMGs and some middle pickup of some sort, or whether I'm going to go 3 quad rails or what. I've got some high output 2 rail humbuckers that I got specifically to use for middle pickups for these triple pickup setups. But I've got a number to choose from. Basically, I can do something like that in EMG or quad rail or invader. So, but on this one, I didn't want to use any of those nice pickups, so I used so I grabbed the best of the rest, so to speak, which turned out to be, I think it was, it's almost a 5 Henry pickup. It clocks in at about 12K, a little under, from it came off of the curved tri-tail tuner, as I recall. And I made sure that I had all the parts lined up first, the jacks, the knobs, and everything, and I painted it all. So, yeah. Let me show you what I got. Okay. Still in frame? Yeah. Sort of, kind of. We have one set of tuners. So I recall these are 6x-Ls, yeah. And they've already been modified. Actually, this is just 6x-Rs, and this thing needs 6x-Ls. Great. I gotta make more tuners. Alright, well, I got more. There's the pickup. Yeah, everything is going to be in black except for I don't have any black strap locks, so I guess I'll order some up and use silver for now. 250K audio pot and a black knob. Actually, this might be a 500. Nope, it's 250. Yeah, there's the bridge. Actually, that might be ebony, not rosewood. Either way, I think it'll work. And the jack's been all painted up. Even the nut and the washer and the threads. All of it. And the screws. There's another screw around here somewhere. Did I lose it? It's probably stuck to the pickup. That's around here somewhere. But anyway, yeah, so that's the basic idea. And then for wood, red oak, and I'm thinking probably a natural finish. Where are the notes? Here we go. Yeah, so for bridge, etc., this bridge, this nut, where are the tuners went? There they are. These kind of tuners. For electronics, that guy, and this guy, and this guy. For the finish, I'm thinking a natural. So basically just take some red oak and clear coat it. Because I mean all the rest of this is done in natural, so it should look pretty good. And then for the neck scale length, this isn't any particular scale length since it doesn't have any frets. But I'm going to set it up as a fender scale length, 25.5 inch or 648 millimeter. And then for the body shape, I'm just going to do a minimalist. It's, you know, it's going to look more or less like this. Yeah, the neck right here comes out, and then wide enough for the bridge, and then just kind of squares off, and then wide enough for all these controls and such down here. I'm figuring that the bottom of the guitar down here will be about 4 inches wide. That way you can put the jack over there, and then about another inch over you can put your volume knob, and then another couple inches over from that you can put your strap. And that's it. The next thing to be done is I need to determine the distance from the nut to the end of the heel. This fingerboard does not stick over the edge, which makes my life easy. And so all I have to do is just measure this distance here, and that tells me how much more I have to add here in order to get 648, and that gets me to my saddle line, and that will in turn tell me about how big my body blank needs to be. Well, I'm getting totally distracted here. I just had a great idea for a new build series. Jump on eBay, get like the cheapest Stratty kind of thing you can find, and then turn it into a metal shredder machine with like a Floyd Rose and like some EMGs or something like that, and cool finish, and put the whammy on the fretboard. Pretty much everything except for stainless frets. That would be either a lot of work or a lot of money. Do the whole thing without spending a lot of money. You could probably pull it in for, I don't know, easily less than 3, I'd think, in the 2 to 3 range, and closer to 2 than 3, so just might have to do that. Wonder if that would, I don't know, I think it might be a cool build. Let me know what you think in the comments. Yeah, by the way, I didn't do it in the pickup experiments video, but the EMGs on eBay for $35, an 81 and an 85, not X, but just an 81 and 85 set, it does work. Very cool. Just add 9-volt and stir, man. Okay, I think that's going to do it for this video. So until the next one, everybody, have a good one.